Welcome to the Circuit of Success Podcast.
The Circuit of Success Podcast.
With your host,
Brett
Gilliland.
Brett Gilliland, Visionary Wealth Advisory.
The Circuit of Success Podcast. Let's start the show.
Welcome to the Circuit of Success. I'm your host, Brett Gilliland, and today I've got Andrew Wittman with me. Andrew, how you doing, my man?
Good, brother, good. If it was any better, it would be illegal in like 14 states and 3 territories to be this good.
I like it. You're in Tampa, Florida. Hopefully the weather's good in Tampa, Florida right now. Probably nice and hot.
Well, there's really no bad weather in Tampa. The hurricanes sometimes, but usually, it's only for a few minutes. So,
Yeah,
in the grand scheme of things, we love Tampa. Yeah.
I love it. Awesome. Well, man, I'm excited to dive into this stuff. You've got a wealth of knowledge, and here's my introduction. I like to read these things so people get really understanding of who you are. But you are a former Marine, former police officer, and a federal agent, turned resilience coach to executives and elite teams. You've protected high-level officials without naming names, but some of the biggest in the world, and then trained law enforcement across continents, and now equips leaders to build unshakable emotional strength through his Inner Armor system. With a PhD in theological psychology and battlefield-tested wisdom, he teaches how to train resilience like a muscle through physical habits, not theories. Please welcome Andrew Wittman, my man. So we're going to talk about some great stuff. But my question I ask on every single podcast is, what has helped make you the man you are today?
See, I love that you ask that on every show, because I watched all these shows the last 5 months, so I'm like, he asks this every time, I better be ready. Because a lot of people are like, well, that's a really good question, Brett. I never thought about it before. I thought about it because I did my show prep. No, I was the fat kid in high school, man, and I was bullied a lot. I was 5'3" and 185, and they nicknamed me Beach Ball.
Oh,
and it was brutal. And my mom and dad were missionaries, so I couldn't fight back. And I was in a town called Wagga Wagga, New South Wales in Australia. And so I fell in with a couple guys there that introduced me to the military, the warrior mindset and the warrior culture. Those two guys were going to go into, Royal Australian SAS and their service. And they kind of opened my eyes to all that. And I was enamored with the Marine Corps. So I came home and enlisted in the Marine Corps so that I could get control of my machine, right? I didn't like living in fear and anxiety. I didn't like being out of shape. So that started me on this journey of mastering the machine, if you will, right? So the Marine Corps, I lost 50 pounds in boot camp, and I got the physical.
The machine being you.
Yeah, me, my body, mind, and emotions, which at the first part, I thought it was just my mind, right? So if I could lose the weight, then I'm good. But, then I got married and found out that, my wife told me I couldn't talk to her like I was one of my Marines, and she freaking hit me with a skillet at night if I wasn't. I'm like, oh, I think she's serious. So I'm like, I better start working on these other cylinders of the machine, like my having harmonious relationships and my getting control of my emotions, because the Marine Corps, right? They like you angry all the time because they're building a war fighter, which is good, but not for a marriage, right? You know what I mean? And not a parent either, right? So I started on this, how do I get my emotions under control? How do I get my mind, my thought process under control? How do I have good relationships? How do I, have my finances under control, so they're not controlling me, so that every dollar doesn't have emotional weight to it, all these things, right? So that started the journey there, and it just continues on throughout now. And you never can get your foot off the gas, man, because you already know this, man, that things are either growing or dying in nature. There's no stasis. As soon as somebody starts hanging out, you're dying. You're starting to die. You're in the death cycle, right? So you got to constantly just be growing and learning and trying to get better, right? Live reps, do better reps. I'm just, constantly just striving to be, level up. And that's kind of, it all started there, being bullied. And I wanted to take control of, not just my weight, but fear and anxiety. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It does. And I think that's easier said than done, right? I'm sure there's somebody on here listening right now, and they're like, man, I want to take control of my weight or my mind or whatever. So other than just saying I want to, right? How do we do that? How do you change maybe these bad habits?
Yeah. No, I'm the how guy, man. I don't really care about the theory. I read all the science and the research so I can translate it for the rest of us to do work on it, right? How do I use it, right? Yeah. So the first thing, and we train. I used to do physical training and weight training for clients that wanted to lose weight. So I do the strength training. You do all the things, and I was a certified personal trainer. But those things don't matter if you don't I'll say it like this: you have to have an underlying operating system. So what people want to do, they want to be like, I want to lose the weight and I want to be like I'm an iPhone 16, but I'm running on an iPhone iOS or the iOS 1.2, right?
Yeah.
So you got to upgrade your operating system first, and now that starts with your identity. Like, who are you, right? And I ask this, and it's a brutal question. I'm not even going to ask it to you because it's hard to say, who am I, right? And so what we do is we help our clients craft an identity statement. It's a one sentence that whether I'm being a father or the CEO of my business or a PTA coach or husband, whatever role I'm playing, right? I don't want to stick myself. My identity is not an external. My identity is who I am. I decide who I am and who I want to be and how I want to be, right? So it's a kind of a half a faith statement. So my identity statement is I'm a man of excellence who always keeps his word. Once I install that, and I mean, I'm running that as my default. And there's, we take you through the process of how you do it. It's just basically why you're, every day you have to build this neuro pathway of that's your default mode. I'm a man of excellence who always keeps his word. I'm a man of excellence who always keeps his word. And I tell clients, you say it so many times that when you stub your toe on the driveway, what better come out of your mouth is not, the Home Alone cussing, right? Joe Pesci. I'm a man of excellence who always keeps his word. You know what I mean? Like that could be, I don't get that's the first thing that comes out. And once you build that, all your decisions are already made. It's pre-decision. I've already decided. So if I'm a man of excellence, I can't half-step anything. And that includes my fitness and my nutrition and my sleep and my water intake. And I said this to you before when we were chatting. How you do anything is how you do everything, right? So once I know I'm a man of excellence and I always keep my word, that's what I aspire to, then I don't give my word that often because I'm very careful with who I give it to. So first person I have to give my word to and always keep it with is me though, right? So if I say, and this totally happened when I was because I hated running, right? I'm a fat kid. There's nothing more I hate running than running. More running.
Kid don't want to run.
Yeah, man, and so, what do you do in Marine Corps boot camp? Or run, right? So, man, I'm telling you, it would take 20 minutes for the fat on my legs to quit jiggling after we stopped, right? That's how bad but I was falling out of runs and falling behind, but I'm a man of excellence. So I have to work extra outside of the work environment. So every night I'm going out for a 5-mile run on my own. And so I had to change myself. I love running. I love running. Running is, I'm a marathoner. I'm an ultra marathoner. I'm an elite athlete. This is what I'm saying to myself, knowing that I'm the fat kid, that the fat, I'm just saying it, just keep doing it. One day after work, man, it was like, I was exhausted. We'd already done the morning PT. We already done all the stuff. And my body's like, we're tired. I don't want to run tonight. And I went into the, with the shower area, the head where people couldn't hear me because it was an open squad base, 65 guys in there with this. So I went in there and I'm like, listen, Wittman, here's what the deal is. We're either running this 5 miles and you're going to shut up and like it, or we're going to run 10. And anytime that you ever, buck up on me again, we're going to run 10. So then I went and ran 10 miles that night. I mean, my blisters had blisters. I was exhausted, but that was the last time my body tried to take over. Right. And so now, I mean, it'll be like, I want pizza. You think I don't want pizza? Listen, shut up or we'll never get pizza again. And my body would be like, I think he's serious. Remember that 10-mile run we had to do? I think he's serious. Right. So, you know what I mean? I think he might be serious about that. We better just shut up about pizza. Well, let's get a cauliflower crust. Maybe he'll be happy with that. You know what I mean? Like, so, the decisions are already made. Right. And so, and I'm going to keep my mind on that track. And that's the key. You can't, a lot of folks try to do these externals. People say, how do you get me out of bad habits? I don't care about your bad habits. I'll never even talk about them. Because when I bring it up, it just like, I'm not going to eat chocolate cake. All you're doing is thinking about the chocolate cake. Yeah. What I'm going to think about is like, hey, you know what? My body fat, composition goal is, under 10%. What are the things I need to do to get to the 10%? Like now I'm not thinking about chocolate cake anymore. So I'm changing. It's not about doing the behaviors or the habits or whatever and taking away bad habits. It's creating new ones, right? And creating new neural pathways and creating new avenues of which I think my thoughts. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Absolutely. It's funny. I just spoke to some interns on Monday of this week, and I said, in my career, I've been doing this, starting my 25th year next month. And I've had this guy over here tell me I can, conquer the world. And you got the guy over here that tells you, you're not going to be able to do this. What are you thinking? Right. And I told the interns, say, whichever one you feed more is going to win. Right. So if I give in to this guy that says, you can't do that, you can't have this podcast, this guy who's protected all these people all over the world or doesn't want me to interview them. If I keep believing that, guess what's going to happen? We're done. Right. And so I choose to feed this guy over here. I'm left-handed, so the good guy is always on my left shoulder.
Me too. I'm left-handed.
There you go. And so for me, it's just like that, right? And I think the self-talk is a big deal. So how do you work on that?
Huge. Well, first off, I want everybody to understand that there is a mind-mouth connection, right? So just do an experiment with me. We do this, like I do this with all my clients. So in your head, just begin to count down from 1,000, right? 999 in your head, 998. Now, out loud, I want you to say your full name. Go.
Brett Gilliland.
Okay. What happened to the count?
It went away.
Yeah, it stopped. So now I know, now that I know that there's what my words coming out of my mouth, I can't stay on this loop that's taking me in the wrong direction. So I'm going to say to myself out loud so my ears can hear and my brain has to adopt that thinking, whatever. And now I pre-decide, I craft. And in the book, I have like a bunch of, I call them cheesy, not cheesy, uncheesy, non-cheesy affirmations. They're not really affirmations. They're execution statements, right? But I have to use affirmations because that's what everybody understands the word as, right? They understand that, but it's really an execution statement. I'm going to say, this is what I'm doing. And when I'm saying it out loud, it becomes the way neuroscience works. It becomes an electrochemical, medical self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So we take in 11 million bits of information every second through what we see, hear, touch. We're just vacuuming up massive amounts of information, but only like 126 bits go to our conscious mind for action. So literally we're discarding 99.9% of everything that we bring in. So then so how do we pick the 126? Well, what we found out, it's your filter that you pick the 126 is based on, and that's really a high number, like down at the low end is 50, but I believe we're all geniuses. So I give everybody the benefit of the doubt and say it's 126, right? But it's what do we believe? What's my opinion? What's my attitude? What are my thoughts? What's my experiences? What's my perception of things? How am I viewing this? And so once I understand that's how the machine works, then I can pre-decide how I want to view things, and I'm reframing things. Like here's something that I did when, I was really trying to get a hold of this is, we talked about, what if you the little one, you can't do it, blah, blah, blah. So I sat down and I'm like, I'm going to write down 100 times where I failed and was embarrassed or anything. So I wrote down 100. So I got this thing and I'm writing any time in my life I could think of them. And whether it was, some of them were giant and some of them were just, I was embarrassed, or some of them, you didn't turn your homework in and you got to know. All right. So I put all these things down. And now what I do is I'm looking at it, I'm like, all right, so how can I reframe these things so that these help me instead of hurt me? And that's a great question for all your listeners. I ask every question of everything that comes through my brain. Is this helping me or hurting me? Is this decision I'm about to make, is it helping me or hurting me? Is this email I'm about to write helping me or hurting? Is this thing that's coming out of my mouth that I'm going to say to my wife in this argument, is that helping me or hurting me? That's probably not helping you, right? So, right, but helping or hurting, right? That's a great question. I just have that, I'm running that script through my mind. Help me or hurt me, help me or hurt me. It's a binary choice. It makes it so simple. You could do it. Like, and all this stuff that I teach is not like some big, long drug out. You don't, man, if you brush your teeth, while you're brushing your teeth, what are you doing while you're brushing your teeth? Well, I'm going over my, identity statement, or I'm rehearsing that trigger moment of whether it's traffic or the email inbox, or, that person whose cologne, the coworker's cologne is just like, it's like, chemical warfare. When you walk into the room, you're like, oh my God, right? That's my trigger, right? How am I going to handle that with poise? And now I'm starting to rehearse. How would I handle this with poise? Well, I'm brushing my teeth, not just zoning out or listening to the traffic and the weather, the surf report or whatever, right? I'm taking that time, stuff that you're already doing. Let's just use it to our advantage. So it helps me instead of hurts me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I think it makes me think of a couple things.
Yeah, man.
I'm going to say a few, but I'll write them down. Is the power of writing it down, right? So for me, these statements, I don't know if you ever read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I mean, we're going back to early 1900s, right?
Yeah, man.
And I've read that book 5 times. So for those listening that want to take that next step, go get that book, right? Read it. And they call it, I think, a desire statement or something like that. So what we're talking about, this has been going on for hundreds of years, right?
Yeah, it's nothing new, man.
This stuff.
Right, 100%.
But my entire career, I've had what we call a design statement. I'm designing the life that I want to live, and I read it daily, day in and day out. Right. And it's like, and then the more you share it with people and go public and write it down and write it down again and write it down again. and you carry your journal everywhere you go with you right here, right? It's going to happen in your life. It's going to happen. Right. So talk to us about the power.
I knew it. I knew it. When I told you, I knew it. I saw you. I knew it, man. I knew you were like, you're like top 1%. I knew it just from looking at what you do, just your website, how you dress, all that. I told you that, man. I don't really even know you. I've never even met you, and now you're just proving it. And that's why you're like that, because how you do anything is how you do everything. I love the designs. I absolutely love it. Listen, man, I've got this is just between you and me and the listeners. I have a 300-year plan.
Nice.
Yeah, people are like, what's your 20-year plan? I'm like, no, I need a 300-year plan. It's multi-generational. People are like, well, you're not going to make it. I'm like, well, don't count me out. Right? With medical plans, I might make it. Right. But I mean, I'm 20 years into this, plan, and I'm ahead of schedule. And it's hard to have if you have a bad day looking at 300 years, what do you care? I can have a bad decade and I really don't care. It's a 300-year plan. Right. So that's that same kind of thing. And I wrote it down. You write it down, and it's on the whiteboard, and you have it. I got it down to like one word, and it's circled. My whiteboard is like a target board. I have it all up on the whiteboard, right? All my targets.
I love that. As a 300-year plan.
Yeah. So people think you're nuts, but I always, when I talk about it to people, they're like, that's nuts. I'm like, not really. I mean, Paris Hilton.
Yeah.
Do you know how it is she could do whatever it is that she does? Is because her great grandfather had a 300-year plan.
Yeah. Right.
Anderson Cooper's a Vanderbilt. Yeah, his great-great-great-grandfather had a 300-year plan. I'm kind of mad at my grandparents. They didn't have a 300-year plan. Now I have to step it out, right? What the heck, man? My kids ain't could have that problem, nor my grandkids, right? So I crafted the 300-year plan. And I'm even looking back like John Rockefeller, right? Everybody thinks, oh, the Rockefeller. Rockefeller wasn't always Rockefeller. Before he was Rockefeller, he couldn't rub two sticks together and he was grinding it just like every other entrepreneur, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
it is funny, you look at an overnight success, right, of 100 years ago, right. and it's like it's 100-year-old overnight success, and I think it's just showing up consistently. I always say boringly consistent, right? I mean, you follow me into my office every day. It's the same thing. Put my bag down, the exact same chair, grab the exact same water bottle, go to the exact same, get the water, come back, shut the door, do the exact same thing for 90 minutes. Right? It's day in and day out, man. But even the days I don't want to do it. To your point, it's I on my drive in, I don't want to do this right now, but I'm a man who does it. I'm a guy who shows up. I'm a guy who shows up when he doesn't want to do it. I'm a guy that's going to show up and work hard. I'm a great husband. I'm a great father. I'm a great leader. I'm a great friend, right? And those things, you got to tell yourself that crap all the time, because the world is giving you a bunch of notifications of what the freaking hellhole we live in, right? That's all the world's giving us. So the only one that can choose it to be different is us, right?
Yes. Oh, I love being in your space, man. I love being in your space.
So forget motivation for a minute, right? Because what I don't like is the motivational talks, right? You get motivated, you're fired up for an hour, and then you go home, and then the voicemail or the text message, and something happens, and motivation is gone immediately, right? So how do we build discipline that works day in and day out?
Right, and it's just what you just said. So all the stuff that you're saying about the water bottle in the same place, and we're doing this, you're doing that, you're running. So the neuroscience is that we're running, you're creating a superhighway, a neurological superhighway of, that's what you're just doing. You're beating down this path. The first time that you do something, you're kind of like Crocodile Dundee with a machete cutting through the jungle. It's uncomfortable, but you keep running that track. And I'm going to just ask this, how long does it take to create a habit? People are like, 21 days. No, it takes one time. Because if I did a 2-day training, I always ask people, where are you going to sit tomorrow on day one? Where are you sitting tomorrow? They're sitting in the exact same seat. So as soon as you become comfortable with something, that becomes your new default mode.
It's like when I walk into church, even when I'm late, I go to the same area, right? So.
And listen, man, they better not be in your parking spot, even if you're late. That's my spot at church, even though my name's not on it, right? But this is how we do it, right? And it's so subtle because we're already doing it. All you have to do is point it in the right direction. So I'm just going to keep running these tracks. So I'm anti-motivational guy, right? I don't care about the fluff. I want to know, how does this work? Because this is what I found out in, I have 11 deployments, like 8 or 9 of them were in combat zones, right? Only a couple were like not combat deployments.
Thank you for your service, my man.
Oh yeah, thanks, man. But what I found out in those is that we never, all of us, this is why the Marine Corps, it's training, because when it hits the fan, you do not rise to the occasion. You fall back to the level of your training, right? So if you're always cussing and swearing in traffic, you're rehearsing that becomes your fallback. So there's no way that you're actually going to behave yourself the next time someone cuts you off, because you've already run that path, just like where you put your water bottle in your briefcase. And when you've already run that path a million times. So now so instead of trying to not do that, what I need to do is just create a new pathway. And so I'll just give you, all these guys when we come on their podcast and tell like war stories. Well, listen, man, PTSD is real, and it took me a long time to let those pathways go away. I'm not going to rehash them and reopen. Like I got grass growing over them, right? The bushes are all over those pathways. I'm not trying to cut those pathways again, right? I don't need to remember all that stuff again. It's the same thing with this traffic. I let the bushes grow over it. How about so now in traffic, what I do, this happened to me in DC, man, when I was a federal agent. I mean, I'm like 15 miles from the Capitol, and it's mad traffic. No matter what time of day or night, I'm losing my mind. I'm like, I'm going to stroke out if I don't get this under control. So then I start putting, back in the day, it was like cassettes. Right now, it's like you could just stream it off your phone or CarPlay or whatever. But I'm listening to college lectures, and I'm listening to, audio books, and even now in traffic, it's on my automatic default. As soon as there's like red lights on the interstate, I'm just like boop, 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 audio books on. On the next one, instead of I turn off the the AC/DC, which is great for driving fast, but when you're in traffic and that is running,
that's the opposite.
Yeah. Now I got to get the audiobook on right now. So I've created that neural path, right? So it's just a matter of getting comfortable and creating these new neural pathways. Don't worry, the old ones will just grow over and become, obsolete. And you don't have to worry about stopping them, because every time you think about stopping them, you're actually running that pathway again.
Yeah.
So
that's funny. So, my son Hudson, I actually just texted him to ask. I couldn't remember exactly what it was, but you said something about training and making it easier. And so on his phone, he's a golfer, and he was watching a video of Tiger in his prime, and it's this motivational thing. And so his screensaver now says, "Train hard, fight easy." Right?
Yeah,
Train
100%.
hard, fight easy. Right? And so you're in your mind, you think about. He's like, "Man, Daddy's like, the harder I train, the easier the golf tournament will be." I'm like, "That's it."
100%.
Right, that's
100%.
exactly it, and that's what you're talking about, right? When we
everything
do
in life,
you fall back
everything
to your
in life.
training.
Yes, everything in life, everything.
Yeah. So when I had 8 3-putts on Sunday at my club championship and wanted to break my putter in half, I look back and say, fall back to my training. Oh, that's right, there isn't any. I just show up with my buddies and go play golf and go to my kids' games and hang out with my family, right? There is no training on the 3 and 5 footers all the time. So how can you be pissed off when you're not doing what you need to be doing, right? Whether that's business, putting, life, whatever, we got to do it, man.
That's so good. You and I should team up, man.
Let's do it. Let's have an event right here.
Dude, I'm serious,
right here
man.
in St. Louis.
It's just so true. And I mean, I've coached a lot of golfers because this it's mental toughness is really my because on golf course it's you. Yeah. It's like being the kicker on the football field, or it's you. Like it comes down to you, and this kind of stuff. It's imperative for the golfer. And you watch the Masters and you see a guy he's ahead, and then he just has the meltdown on Amen Corner, and you just know. Yeah. I mean, and you're just like that's just him in his head. He's got the yips or whatever we want to call it, but but he's not defaulting. He skipped. Listen, this is what happens to all high performers. I mean. You could look at it like in the NFL, man, that they get the big giant, the quarterback gets that $150 million contract. What's happening to his performance next year? Yep. We already know. I mean, it's not anecdotal. There's like legit evidence that because you got to what you call success and then you got your foot off the gas. And that's another reason why I have the 300-year plan. Because remember Michael Phelps when he did the 8 gold medals? Right, and he's over in the corner with the little notepad with his coach, and they're like, "Oh, I got it." Do you remember that? And then he got it.
I mean, they were down to the point decimal, right, of what he's got to do.
And they got it right. And then he became suicidal because this is how the brain works. The dopamine the happiness hormone. Why you're going for something, not when you achieve it. If you've ever and this is what happens with all successful. When they achieve it, they're like, "This is empty." It's not empty. It's because the drug that was making you so going after it just shut off. Your brain isn't producing it anymore, and you're cold turkey off the dopamine, right? You're cold turkey. So I always build the plan 300 years. I'll never run out, right? So I'm never going to. I don't want to have a goal that I could hit. And this happened. I was watching. I used to I was involved with Clemson football for a while, and one year they beat Alabama, and I saw that the Alabama quarterback the next year, he had that on his phone was just like beat Clemson. So they did, but they beat them in the quarterfinals, and that was it. They lost the national champ because their goal was just to beat Clemson, not to win the national championship, right? So, I mean, this is real. You have to decide what it is that you actually want to do, because your body and your mind and your emotions will say, that's what we're doing. Your brain will never go against it. You know, it's not going to come up with a new one.
I think it was Bryce Harper that said something about his career, and they said something about getting the majors. He's like, my goal is not to be in Major League Baseball. My goal is to be in the Hall of Fame. Right. So the way I approach what I do is different than the guy that says, oh, I made it. And then he gets 3 at bats and he goes back to the minors and never sees it again. He hit his goal, right? Yeah. Clap your hands. 100%. Congratulations.
Oh my God.
But I also think too, man, I'm curious your thoughts on this. So in May of 2013, I won't get into the weeds, but I hit a pretty significant goal at my previous firm that had never been done in 150 years. And I don't say that to brag. I say that for us to open up about, what do you find after that success? Because for me, I found nothing in it, right? I thought when this thing was going to happen, the confetti was going to fly down and, you know, all this stuff was going to happen. And then when it was just there, it was just done. It was like, okay, like what's next, right? So how do you maybe, I don't know if that's the right question to ask, how do you help people, though, be in the moment, slow down and enjoy that stuff versus just having the expectations of what's next?
Yeah, I mean, I always look to guys like Nick Saban and Tom Brady, right? Like, so, and there's a saying out there that success is never final, but of course, neither is failure, right? So, and this is kind of what I teach is like, I'm not going to be on this emotional roller coaster of highs and lows. When I hit that super high, I'm like, that's awesome. When I hit the low, I'm like, yeah, I rub some dirt on it. Let's go. Like, I'm like, I literally, and I've trained my kids like that too. So you're like, you could get I gave my daughter like this Super B. She spec'd out a Challenger Super B, 3.9. Yeah, it's the big 6.4 liter with leather. You know, she's 16 years old. She specs it out. She does specs it out, hands it to me. I'm like, all right. So I buy it for her 17th birthday, and she is super excited and she's super grateful, and I trust her with it. But it's not like a giant flex. She's not on put it on her Instagram or anything. Right. I mean, and it's just like, I'm super, thank you, Daddy. I'm super grateful. And we're like this. And also, if she had like a bad year, she's a lacrosse player. She doesn't have a great year in lacrosse. She's still like this. Yep. What are course corrections I need to make? Right. So that's where we want to be. I don't want to be on the roller coaster, the highs and the lows. Right. So I smooth those things out, and I don't have expectations of how great it's going to be. I mean, even the 300-year plan, my expectation is that I will have a great-great-granddaughter like Paris Hilton that can do whatever they want. They want to do a cooking show, or they just want to travel. Yeah. And then I'm like, okay, I did my job. You know what I mean? Like I'm not chasing the high, and I don't get swamped by the low. And this is another thing people ask me on these shows. Well, when you make your first million, I'm like, well, you're going to find out that the first million, I mean, after you make it, you're like, that really ain't that much. Like, I can't really do nothing with it. You know, 3 kids in college, that went by fast, man. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, people, they have for sure these expectations that it's some bigger thing than it is. You know, pull the curtain back on that and just be. So here's my thing: is I like the grind of the journey, the process, and this is another Nick Saban thing, right? I'm not results oriented. I'm not looking at the scoreboard. I mean, it's great when I do those things and have those accolades. But I'm just going to keep doing the process that got me there, because the second I know, just like the quarterback with the giant thing, is second that I could be a one-off, man. I could be, just win the national championship one time, or I could be like Saban and win it like, a bazillion times. Yeah. You see what I mean? So I don't like to get wrapped up into the emotion of that. And that's what we kind of also teach, is like emotional sovereignty. My emotions don't drive the ship, right? They're rocket fuel for doing the hard thing, but they ain't in charge.
Yeah. I think for me too, is like, now looking back, what is that, 12 years ago? For me, it was more, now I'm so much more mission driven, right? Than probably I was then. And it was there, but I hadn't articulated. That's what this F greater than P is. It's helping people achieve a future greater than their past, right? That's our mission statement. It's my mission statement. So good, and I think that when you hit those highs, when it's mission driven, that's when you actually feel better. Would you agree with that?
I do. And mission driven is the whole thing. And that, and all my stuff, it's all about, and here's the 3 things that you have to, if you really want to enjoy and have fulfillment and success, however you define success, but have enjoyment. And identity is the first thing. Who am I internally, no matter what? Like not with an external label. And who am I? When you strip everything away, who am I? I'm a man of excellence who always keeps his word. I'm anchored with that. So if you don't build that first, then everything else is not going to follow, right? Because you're going to be tossed to and fro like, in a storm. The second thing is purpose. What's my purpose? I like to use the Wizard of Oz, right? My daughter loved that. She used to call it the Lion Show. She used to watch that movie so much. So think about the Wizard of Oz. Dorothy, Scarecrow, Tin Man, Lion, they all had a purpose. Not only did they have a destiny, that's the final thing is the destination, the vision, right? The Emerald City. What's your Emerald City? Mine's the 300-year plan. I have the Emerald City. But why am I on the yellow brick road? Why am I doing this with the flying monkeys and the witches and the poppy fields and the bad weather? I have to have a purpose, right? Scarecrow's purpose was he wanted a brain. Lion wanted courage. Dorothy wanted to get home. You don't identify your purpose. Why are we going there?
Yeah.
Right. So what's the point? So when I get to the Emerald City, what? If you didn't have a purpose and you got there, it's cool. There's horses of different colors and the Winky Guard and the guy behind the curtain's a fraud. So right. That's kind of disappointing. But if they got what they came for, they had their identity, their purpose, and their Emerald City, their vision or their ultimate target, I like to call it. So I don't even like setting goals, man, because setting a goal sets you up to miss the dopamine hit. As soon as you get it, you're going to spiral. So I have to set an ultimate target. Goals are dangerous. People don't like that, but it's so bad for you to just have this temporary goal where what do we call in the Marine Corps, the 5-meter target, the 10-meter target, the 100-meter target, right? Yeah. They will self-populate. They will automatically populate as soon as you set your target. So here's an example. Hey, Brett, let's you and me go on vacation, sometime. We'll do a trip to Europe. What do you think? Yeah, good. Let's do it. Okay. What happened? Nothing. Correct. But I say, hey, man, we're going to Italy in 2 weeks. All the goals just self-populated. Man, we got to get visas and passports. We got to make sure our shots are up. We got to get hotel. We got to get airliner. See how the goals self-populated by just putting the destination, right? So stop wasting time on setting these goals that might not even get you to where you want to go anyway.
Yeah, that's strong. It's you talked about defining success, and do you have a definition of success?
For me, I do have. I have it across what I call the 8 cylinders of life. So I have 8 cylinders, and there's a success matrix, if you will, for each one of those cylinders, so that I have a balanced life. Like, so the great in my parenting book, I think I finished the book on chapter, and the last chapter was on these 8 cylinders. But the greatest compliment my kids have ever been given, someone will come to me and they'll say, "Your kids are so balanced." That's the greatest compliment, because I know I've done my job, right? So it's across these 8 cylinders. I have 6. So the cylinders are spiritual, then it's physical, then mental, emotional, right? Then social, harmonious relationships. Then I'm my professional, then cultural and financial, right? So it's taken me years to go through
here, but this is crazy how we are so in line here. So this is from my own journal. For those that are watching, my vision board, this is from a journal. This is one of the empty ones. F to the 6 power, right? So my 6 are your faith, your family, your fitness, firm, which is our wealth management firm, right? Fun and finances.
Bro.
And so your cylinders, my 6 to the F's, it's so true, man. People got to have them because you get asked to do a lot, right? And for me, when I get asked to do something, my filter is one of those F's. Maybe it's just fun. Yeah, screw it, man. This is fun. Okay. Let's say yes to that.
And we're going to max it out and have fun. Success is fun this day.
Yeah. Right. So anyway, sorry to interrupt. I just thought it was funny.
No, don't interrupt. I love that, man. I'm just like, dude, that is just, I feel like we were like, twins and separated, man. Exactly. I'm Arnold, you're Danny.
My brother, I never knew I didn't have, right?
Well, it's like, whoa, man. But none of this stuff is new. I'm not trying to, I don't take credit for it. There's nothing new under the sun. It's just how it's helped me and how I package it, for other people to kind of grab a hold of it just like you did. But I love being in your space, man, because I'm so energized and when and this is my second favorite Nick Saban. My favorite Nick Saban quote is that video where he's yelling, "Nickel, nickel, nickel, timeout." There's only 8 seconds left and they're up by 40 points. He's like, "You guys have no poise." I love that one. But this one where he says that high performers just can't stand to be around mediocre performers, and mediocre performers can't stand to be around high performers. It's just absolutely true. It's like oil and water, right? Because it's like running fingernails down a chalkboard for somebody that just doesn't care about anything. like at work, right? If I try to build the firm, like you said, you build your firm, like you can't have that culture, man. It's like, it's cancer, right? So, but I love being like, you're just like iron sharpens iron. You're making me just like rocket, I told you that before we even started the show, just me watching your podcast, man, it makes me rocket. It makes me a better person for having listened to this. So I love that you interrupted me on that, man. And I'm gonna need to get a copy of that journal, man.
Perfect. I'll get you a copy, man. And I think success is different as you go through life and you're working on yourself, right? Because it's now my definition of success is to do what I want with who I want, whenever I want, and wherever I want, right? It's like that's success. And it's not the things like it probably is in your early 20s, I want this or I want that car. And look, I think that's all great. I want a nice car and a nice house, all that stuff too. But it's also that success, defining it for yourself is huge.
Mm-hmm. It is 100%. Yeah. And I agree with that definition right there. Cause that's when you've made it. We call it being, it's your bulletproof money, right? You do whatever you want, say whatever you want to, and because you've made it to that point where you usually are not, messing it up with buying, because people, their life are out of balance and they just went after the money. It's going to be a train wreck, dude. Like if you didn't build these other things first, and then because money just makes you more of what you already are. That's another thing people need to understand. Money, all it does is amplify you. The more money you have, the more of what you already are. It just amplifies it.
Yep.
That's why the curse of the
follow
lottery.
Jesse Itzler a lot, and his books are great books. And I think it was Living with the Monks or something like that. And he talks about that. It's like if you were a good person before money, with money, you're even better, right? If you were a bad person before money and you get money, you're even worse. Right. And greed's a very, very bad thing, man. So let's talk about this. I know you've got some kind of resilience in 2 minutes a day. You're habit stacking for humans. I kind of, look at my research. Yeah. Talk about that. How can we in 2 minutes a day become much stronger at what we need to do?
So here's my 2 minutes. Like I said, when you're brushing your teeth, right? You can't be talking while you're brushing your teeth, right? So, but you can think of like, here's what I call my 2 minute drill. I'm going to interrupt this spiral of I can't do it. I call it the Americants, right? They'll tell you all the things we can't do or why we can't solve this problem. And so, and we get this voice of resistance on the inside of us. It would be like, I can't, that's impossible. We can't do that. That won't work. That's crazy talk, Andrew. Just for 2 minutes, just say, okay, look, man, I'm not arguing just for fantasy though. It is impossible. But if it were possible, how would I do it? Just for 2 minutes, ask yourself that question. It gives your brain permission to go find the answer. I would do this in a meeting. I'm like, some of this, like right here, when I come in and consult for a company, sometimes I'll come in, they'll pay me to come in for a day and I'll just lay that thing out on the table and the problem is solved within like 30 seconds. You're still paying me for the day. Congratulations. But I'll just let the team say, okay, everybody will tell me all their can'ts. And then I'll be like, okay, I know, I get it. We can't do it. But just for fantasy, what if we could do it? How do you guys think we would do it? And literally within 3 minutes, you'll have like 5 different solutions and maybe they're not the thing, but you could mix them and match them like a chef and pull them together and come up with a solution. So this is a habit stack. While I'm brushing my teeth, I'm going to say, whatever that thing is that's triggering me, or the thing that I can't, if I could lose weight, how would I do it? That's impossible to lose 50 pounds. Yeah, but if it were, how would I do it? And your brain will start coming up with all kind of, hey man, you could just start eating carrots instead of Twinkies. You don't need a personal trainer to tell you that. You already know. You know what I mean? Like a lot of this stuff we already know. It's already innate. It's built into us. We already know when we're making a bad choice. Yep. How would I make a better choice? How would I make the best choice available? So I'm just going to ask that question and just 2 minutes a day. And I'm just going to keep running that track. So let's say you did it for 4 minutes a day because you should be brushing your teeth at least twice a day at 2 minutes at each time. Every time you brush your teeth, my habit is I'm going to think of this impossible situation and how would I do it? How would I fix it? So that's just one, and it's a life changer.
I love that. And it's funny, my kid, you talk about your cheesy thing or uncheesy, whatever you called them earlier, is my cheesy one with the kids. But it's so damn true is, oh, that's impossible. Do you know how you spell impossible? If you break it down, I'm possible.
Possible. Yeah.
Right. I'm possible. Yeah. And it's like, all right. So you either believe whichever one, right? I'm possible or it's impossible. So which one? Right. Can you do so?
100%. Was it Henry Ford that said, if you think you can, or you think you can't, you're right. Yeah. I love that. It's like, it's 100%, man.
Yeah. It's funny. You talk about the brush your teeth thing too, as I talk to people about it, is people want to show up and like, okay, I'm just going to do everything in one day and I'm going to get fit in one day. Right. Well, you brush your teeth. minimally 14 times a week. It's not brush your teeth 14 times on Sunday and you're good, right? It's twice a day, right? Twice a day. It's showing up, working twice a day, right? You can't just show up on Sundays and get it done, man. So, how can we think about? Let me back up a little bit. So, my fear about AI is that critical thinking is going to go away for people. It's going to be like, oh, I got this little baby thought, boom, boom, boom. I go type it into ChatGPT, Gronk, whatever, and then it comes out and there's my answer, right? So I really am worried about, especially for our next generation, my kids, my grandkids. So you say critical thinking isn't taught, but it can be trained. How?
Right. We don't train critical. I mean, we don't teach critical thinking. All kids don't. So you have to go through a training process, right? So, and let me just answer the AI thing, right? So there's a study that just came out that says we cognitively get dumber every time we use AI, right? Except buried deep in the study, didn't make the headline because they just want you to be like, don't use AI, you're making it.
Right.
Except people that are cognitively engaged, they actually became 4 times more engaged. They become 4 times, I don't want to say smarter, but their neurons connected to 4 times the rate of somebody that didn't use AI, about that person who didn't use AI. So if you're already
can you go into that more? So how's that? Why did they become? Because they knew how to use it, and therefore it gave them ideas, and they went deeper with the ideas.
Yeah, but what you find out, AI is like it's like a child, right? So it drifts all the time. And it's not going to give you, and you have to verify. So this is one of the things, I mean, I have a radio show, my partner and I were just talking about this. I verify everything. I want to look at the source material of everything. Even if AI says this is what it is, I've got to go check it. Because it'll say, like, if you Google something or AI something about yourself, as a Google, you could Google something and it'll give you websites and you could say yes or no. You could ChatGPT or Grok something. Like, I put something in there, I'm like, hey, yeah, how many books does Andrew Wittman, PhD, have? And they're like, 4. I'm like, nope, 7. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, you don't even get me right. Like, I can't trust anything that you say from now on, you know?
Good point.
So that's somebody who's cognitively engaged is not going to just take whatever now they have great ideas. Like, it'll give you something, it'll be like, well, it may say something and that'll spark an idea of how to track that down or become creative. So AI is great for ideas of things that I didn't even know were out there, right? So, but it does bring it to my attention, but I'm not, it's not a shortcut. So here's the thing. It's just like with the money. If you take cognitive shortcuts, AI is just going to make you more of a shortcutter. If you're cognitively engaged, it's going to make you a bigger cognitively engaged force. So does that make sense?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm not using it as a shortcut. I'm not using it to get, but it has it's got great uses because I'll run stuff through it and because it could search the web faster than even Google or whatever, right? So I'm going to get, but I always have to verify everything. Trust but verify. Who said? I mean, it was Reagan, right?
Ronald Reagan.
Trust but verify. And what was the other part of your question? I was critical thinking.
Yeah, critical thinking.
We're not critical thinking is like, so let me ask you this. Like, do you have a process of how you think your thoughts, or is it just kind of like a jungle up there?
Well, it's a jungle for sure. There's no doubt about it. But how I make that jungle or chaos is if I'm driving down the road, I'm thinking about 10 different thoughts. I will say, hey, Siri, I'm sure she'll listen now. Remind me on Wednesday at 1:00 to do boom, 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 boom. So Wednesdays, I'm in an hour and a half of what I call strategic think time with just myself and my journal. And so then on Wednesday when it goes off, that's right. I wanted to think about this thing, and now I go deeper with it, and that's when that's my process.
So my process, I figured out when I was like, I thought thinking, when I started looking at thinking like a physical skill, I even call it the golf swing of thinking because it's like that's what I teach in corporate. There's a grip, there's stance, there's how you swing the club. There's a physical process to the golf swing. That's how we should be thinking our thoughts as a critical thinker. So I looked at the Socratic method and, it's like 9 steps. And I'm like, that'll get you killed in a firefight, man. I ain't got time to go through 9 steps if it's an academic, right? So I took the 4 that I needed and really I made a 2-step process, right? I call it thinking like crap, CRAP. So you can't forget it. So clarity is the first. A critical thinker says, what's my target? That's the first thing, clarity. Not what I don't want, what do I want? Like people will always say, I don't want this to happen. I don't want that to happen. Like police chief will be like, I don't want this on the news. I'm like, well, it's going on the news now because what happens is the brain chops off don't, and whatever's left becomes the new target. Right? Don't hit your sister becomes hit your sister.
Yeah.
Right. So what it was that you're doing? Get very clear on what my target is. Once you have your target, then the next thing is relevance. And then I could ask you as the golf is, let me ask you this, man. Are sand traps and the water obstacles relevant?
I almost feel like it's a trick question. I mean,
it is.
I
All right,
think
so let me walk you through it. Let's walk you through it because it is a trick question. But what's the target for the golfer? What's the target?
Green.
I'm just a clarity.
That's why I joke with my buddies. I always tell them, they're like, "Oh, the sand traps suck." I'm like, "Well, don't go in the sand trap."
Correct. So the target is the green. It's really the hole, right? So if your target is the hole, and then sand traps are not relevant because you'd be like, don't hit it in the water. Where's it going? Gabloosh in the water. Now they become relevant. So I'm going to take everything off the board that is not relevant to my target. That's a R is relevancy, clarity, relevance. So anything that's a sand trap, anything that's not relevant, does this help me or hurt me get to my target? If it's hurting me, I get it off the board. If it's not helping me, it's not relevant to the conversation. And this goes into like meetings too. Like how many times you go in there and maybe we don't have an agenda or you do, and you get off into a sand trap where people are like 20 minutes talking about like the chairs or what, the temperature or we're in a sand trap, right? I got to stay with if you don't clearly define the target, you have no idea if you're in the sand trap or not. So that's a critical thinker. Before any email, I have a clearly defined target before I even came on this show, before I talk to you, before I email, before I have a clearly defined target. And that way, anything else gets pushed off the table. It's not even on anything else that's not relevant to that target, then it's gone. So then the next thing is facts, accuracy, facts and truth, right? So the CRAP, clarity, relevance, accuracy, is facts and truth. Are they the same thing? Well, I'm in law enforcement. They're not the same thing, right? So facts get entered into evidence, which are just information, pieces of information. They're not up for dispute, but the witnesses swear to tell the truth. And we know eyewitnesses, they're not telling a lie, but they're not telling facts. They're telling their perception of what they saw. They were at a green sweater. It was a brown sweater. Right. Yeah. That's not, those are right. So so a critical thinker always distinguishes facts from truth. I take a truth and move it to the fact column. Like someone say, you disrespected me. All right. Is that a fact or a truth? That's a truth because different people will perceive. I don't know what disrespect.
Yeah, because it may not have offended me.
Right. So, so I need to know what. Okay. So then I'll ask them. This is how I move it from you disrespect me. What were the specifics of my behavior that I did? The facts of my behavior that made you think or feel that I disrespected you? Well, you rolled your eyes and you put your hands on your hips. Like, so now those are facts, right? Maybe I did put my hands on, but see how I moved it? So a critical thinker is always moving the truth into the fact column. I need to get the facts. Somebody say it's hot outside. Listen, man, I love it when it's 100 out. That's why I moved to Tampa. I mean, if it's like, I don't go, my rule is I don't go north of Ocala after, Labor Day, man. It's just not happening. Right. Because my cold, but the temperature is the temperature, right? Whether it's Fahrenheit or whatever that temperature is a fact. How I feel about it is a truth. A critical thinker always wants to deal in facts. And then the last thing is precision. P, can this fact be more exact? So if I get to a fact, can it be more exact? Like, so, hey man, I need this, I need this ASAP. First off, you hear that email. I need this ASAP. Well, that's a truth, man. Because as soon as I could possibly get to it, it's like 2055 right before I retire. Because I got stuff to do. Right. So that's out. Hey, when do you need this by, boss? I need it by Friday. Friday is a fact, but it's a big, long, giant fact. Is it what time on Friday? And then I want it all the way down to what time zone, right? Because you're in Central and I'm in Eastern. Like my target for this thing was like, okay, it's 2:00 Eastern time is that we were going to meet up, but it's 1:00 your time. I need to know that because we're in different time. You need to know that we're on different time zones because if you said 1 and I said, okay, it's 1, we missed each other because I wasn't precise in my critical thinking. So none of that is taught in school. There's not critical thinking. We don't verify anything. Like it's another, how can I verify that? It's just a great question when anybody says anything. I honestly, Brett, I don't believe one thing, nothing. I believe nothing that I see on the news, on Twitter, anywhere until it's verified.
Yeah.
I don't believe it. I don't believe whatever the reports are. It doesn't matter whether it comes from, this echo chamber or that echo chamber, whatever your ideology is. I believe none of it because I went on the inside. I've been in the rooms and then come out and see what's reported in the press. I know it's not. None of it is accurate. None of it.
Yeah, you're right, man. And this is coming from you've literally whether it's Speaker of the House or a former First Lady or anything, right? No. I mean, you've been in the freaking inner circles and you've seen it. So I think that's important to know. So if you don't mind, and maybe there's a lot of things you can't talk about, obviously, but Talk to us about the stuff when you're protecting somebody like that, right? That's at the highest of the high, that they have a certain spot they're going when stuff hits the fan. Right. Walk through that process of protecting somebody at that caliber. One, you're willing to take a bullet for somebody that's not even your own child. It says a lot about you, right? What is that process like mentally, physically, emotionally, protecting somebody at the highest level?
The first thing, and I can say the names because they're on my bag. So I was the agent in charge of Nancy Pelosi's detail. I was on Hillary Clinton's detail for the anthrax crisis, and I was Joe Lieberman's lead advance. They were my big three claim to fame, right? I protected others, Netanyahu, Elton John, even King Abdullah of Jordan. All right, so I've had it, but those were my three main assignments during that time, right? So, my first thing I decided was that if I'm going to give my life for one of these people, I better love them first. So I don't care what your ideology is. I don't care what your beliefs are. I don't care. I love you for you, right? And and first off, you can't give anybody anything you don't have. If you don't love yourself, you can't love somebody else. If I didn't have $100, I couldn't give you $100, right? So
you got to take all politics out of it, right? Whether you,
I don't care what it is, right? It doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter. And people are like, well, I just couldn't be with her. I'm like, yeah, that's why, that's why God, it's always Christians, right? That's why God didn't pick you to be with her and picked me, because I could, right? Like, so, that's why God picked Abraham, to sacrifice Isaac, because he knew I would never do it. Right. Like I'd be like, that ain't happening. I'm going back with Herky, the moon god. He didn't ask for that. Yeah. So it's why does God pick you to do like that? That's for me. That was my process. I have to love you and know this is my assignment, and I'm going to love them regardless. I don't care about anything else other than I absolutely love you. And unconditional. It's unconditional. So that's the first thing. And it helps you as a parent too. You got unconditional. Yeah. My kids, whatever they do, I want them to do good, but my love is not conditional on what they do or they don't do, what they say, or their behaviors mean really nothing in the scope of whether I unconditionally love them or not, and will give everything for them. But I'm willing to give up for these people. I have to love them like that. I have to love them. And I had to make that adjustment because a lot of people don't. And then they complain about their protectees. And I'll tell you, I had a great relationship with every one of my protectees because they know that I love them. Well, not me saying it, nothing. They know that they're 100% safe with me. Like they will, I don't care what you're into. There will never be an embarrassment. But when I say no, it's no. And when I say it's time to go, it's time to go. But I don't go to that well too often. Right. So that's the other thing with that whole process is that, you're not, I love you unconditionally. But when I say it's time to go, you have to know we have to go. We can't debate it. Right. And there's times say if there was like with the anthrax crisis stuff and there's a biological attack, I'm carrying 2 gas masks with me. Right. And I got to put mine on first, because if I don't put mine on first and I go toes up, I can't help my protectee, but I have to get theirs on, and I have to do both of them in 9 seconds. Right. So I have to get mine on and I got yours on in 9 seconds. I got to rip them out of the package and all this stuff. And then if you don't train that, literally, are you serious? Are you really serious about doing your job? They have to have the confidence, and I have to know I can't be fake. Right. I have to know that I could get this thing off. And I'm like, because I'm kind of recovering OCD, so I'm kind of practicing that all the time. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
How do I get it on them? I have like this, kids, get over here.
Yeah, right. Right.
But so that's the thought processes that people, they don't think about those things, that it's really, it hinges on, do I love them or not? Because if you love them and you act like, think about what the lengths you would go to for your kids.
Yeah.
Anything. But if you have to take that same love and put it against your protectee, because otherwise, because look, man, you ain't paying me enough to take the bullet, bro. I'm not getting paid enough to do it. So I have to know that it's a calling or a mission or an assignment that I'm on. And I loved it. But I was living their life, not mine. The kids, I was missing out on a lot of stuff, deployed all the time or gone all the time. I'm living their life. But I learned tons because, dude, I'm in the inner circle behind. I know what's going on after 2 glasses of wine with like some of the, not just the political powers, but some of the greatest scientific minds, some of the greatest artists, musicians, military minds. You're in that circle, man. And I'm like, I was more valuable than my PhD, dude. I'm like, I'm not wasting a second of this, right? I'm just like a sponge sucking up all that stuff from them. Yeah.
Because you're in the room when they're having their deep discussions too, right? Because you got to be with them. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're hearing, everything, dude. There's no, did you ever see, there was that movie, I think it was called Garden Test with Nicolas Cage, you know?
I don't know if I saw that one. No.
Oh, this is like My Life with Nancy. Like, there's a special on peas on aisle, on dial 12. I mean, you know everything. You know the prescription. You know with the doctor and what kind of doctor we're going to see, and you know what I mean. And they have to know that they are safe with you. Like, I'm not going to do. That's why I don't really tell a lot of these stories, because it's like they have to know. Because if I'm telling them, if I'm not keeping their confidence, I'm not keeping yours, Brett. You know what I mean? Like, if you're telling stories about it, I'm like, man, that's why it goes in the vault. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, it's just like, I wouldn't tell you any stories about, bad stories about my wife or my kids or what, or even, any other client. They have to know that it's in the vault, man. Otherwise you're not trustworthy. Yeah. But
solid.
Did. Yeah.
So let's last question for you here is a fear question. One I love to ask and even talk to in person with people is the fears. We all put fears in our minds, right? And you've been in combat zones, you've been all over the place. How many of the fears you've put in your mind have actually ever blown up to the magnitude you put it in your mind to be?
I can't think of any, because I've done this exercise with myself, like, over the years, because that's what I stopped, because worry is just baby fear. So as soon as you start on that track, that was one of the things I got rid of back in, it started, I want to say when I deployed to Panama was our first, really, actually it was in 1986, we're going to the Philippines, and we're just supposed to do a training exercise, and they start handing out live rounds. I'm in the Amtrak and we're bubbling. We got off the ship, and then they're like, here you go. The Red Army just assaulted. I'm like, now we're doing counterterrorism. And that's when I was like, oh, this is like legit real. And that was
no dress
like,
rehearsal.
No. So I'm like curious, how am I going to react? Right. So, and all the fears and then you get there and you find out, and this happens whatever storm you're in, whatever, when I'm in Desert Storm and they lit off all the oil well flyers and it's so dark, you can't see your hand in front of your face. You're just like, this isn't anything of what you're just like. When you imagined that great thing in 2013 happening, when you got there, it wasn't really anything that you thought it was going to be. And it happens on both sides of fear of faith. If you, whatever your expectation is, the reality of it is really a lot more generic. Right. So if you get a hold of that, then the fears they don't take, what if I lose the house? Hey man, they make the houses every day better than the one you're living in. What if I lose my job? They make better jobs every day, better than the one you have. They pay more. There's paying jobs out there, right? So that's kind of, what if we run out of cocoa pebbles? They make them every day, right? Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Like whatever the fear is, I'm always tell myself that. Well, hey man, this happens all the time. There's something better than what I'm worried about giving up here.
I love it. So Andrew Wittman, man, it's been awesome having you on the Circuit of Success. Let's say somebody wants to holler at you. They want you to be their coach. They want you to help their team. Where do they find more of you and how they get a hold of you?
Yeah, man. GetWarriorTough.com/podcast is for everybody. That's what kind of where I got some stuff up there for them. So GetWarriorTough.com/podcast. That'll get you into the or you could just Google me. There's no fence around me, man. It's easy to get a hold of me.
Love it, man. Well, thanks so much. Stay with me here while the screen goes dark here, but thanks so much for being on the Circuit of Success. It's been awesome.
Thanks for having me, brother.